Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of the day it is you're joining us here for the Tulsa World Scene podcast. I'm here with my colleagues Grace Wood and Jimmie Tramel as we discuss whatever pop culture things pop into our heads this particular week. And I have a very weird feeling that Jimmie has a lot to share this week.
Oh, weird. How about that? Hey, you guys Weird Al Yankovic fans?
I remember hearing the old Dr. Demento show when he did it wasn't his first. I think it wasn't his first big hit of Take Off My Sharona.
My Bologna.
My Bologna. I think the second one that he did was Another One Rides the Bus. Yeah,
You're spot on.
Yeah. And hey, he's going to sit by you. Another one rides the bus. I remember hearing that on the radio and thinking that was hilarious, and still kind of do. So yes, I would say I am a bit of a fan.
Yeah, I think I'm a fan too. He's not in my like regular listening rotation or anything, but I definitely appreciate his unique art form.
I guess I asked because surely there's no one who dislikes him. And he's never been on a police blotter. He's never been in a controversy that we know of. He just makes us laugh. Who's the one guy in the world that doesn't like Al Yankovic? I mean, does that person exist even?
I don't know. Even the people who he parodies, they end up liking. I think for the most part they understand that it's done out of love as much as anything. And
he had one dust up with Coolio over Amish Paradise, but I think that got smoothed over.
And well, it better, because Coolio's not here to fight for it anymore.
Yeah,
but and to be honest with you, I mean, sometimes his, in my opinion, his versions are almost as good or as better as the original, especially when he was doing Michael Jackson stuff.
it's so funny you say this. You're spot on. There's a new movie coming out called Weird, the Al Yankovic Story, starring Daniel Radcliffe as Al Yankovic. And I've seen a preview, and it's interesting because I thought this was going to be a straight, by the facts document, like a recreation of his life, but we're going to stick to the facts. And instead, it's like an alternate universe of Big Al, where you said you liked maybe his version of some Michael Jackson songs better than the Michael Jackson version. In this alternate universe, he creates the song Eat It first, and then Michael Jackson creates Beat It afterwards. So that kind of tells you what we're getting into here with this movie that debuts November 4th on Roku. It's a fun movie though. There's lots of cameos, actors in disguise as other characters. Jack Black is great as Wolfman Jack. Dr. Demento is played by Rainn Wilson from The Office. And I'm curious if you or other people watch this, how long you get into the movie before you realize, oh, this is really exaggerated and it's not quite by the facts, by the book.
Yeah, I was wondering about that too, because I saw that like on IMDb, the character Evan Rachel Wood plays Madonna is like at the very top of the cast list. And I was like, were he and Madonna like a thing? And I just like missed that. And then I looked it up and he was like, no, we actually like barely knew each other, but she's like a main character in the movie. So
in this movie, she's definitely a thing. That's they're a thing, I should say.
Okay.
Well, I mean, if you're gonna exaggerate, I mean exaggerate. I mean, it's not like, well, I shouldn't pluck an actress out of the air because that'll get us into trouble. But I mean, if you're going to, it's like the Tommy Flanagan character on the old Saturday Night Live is always trying to convince people that his wife was Morgan Fairchild. If you're going to, if you're going to tell a lie, tell a really good lie. So
in this version of the Bizarro universe for Weird Al, she pursues him. So that tells you where we're going.
I love that.
All right.
Well,
Well,
I would recommend this though. I mean, it's
yeah.
entertaining, it's fun, it's clever. It gets really, as you would expect, weird. But if you love Big Al, you'll love this.
Now,
I don't
is
know
it
how you
only
feel
going to
about UHF that was filmed back in the day, but that's kind of an acquired taste with a lot of people.
Well, and that's one thing I was going to ask. You mentioned that it was going to be debuting on the Roku streaming service,
Mhm.
so it's not going to be in films. I mean, be in theaters.
No, just free on Roku.
Okay, well, kind of fits into the Weird Al UHF vibe in the sense that it came out, did nothing in theaters, but took on a life of its own in video rentals. And I'm trying to I know I didn't see it when it first came out. It was decades after it came out that I finally
Me too.
watched it.
Grace, have you
And
seen it?
I have not seen it. No, the first time I ever even heard about it was when you guys were talking about it, I think a couple months ago. So I have not watched it.
Our Miss Wood has lived a sheltered life.
But obviously it was filmed here, so you can see Tulsa in the movie. Not weird. UHF never comes up in the new movie, but the old movie was filmed here.
Gotcha. Okay.
I remember, and I can't remember where it was, but driving somewhere and looking down, I'm thinking it was 169, but I don't think that actually it was. But anyway, but there was this building with a big letters on it, Spatula City, which is from the movie, and this was years and years after the movie had been filmed here. And I was working for the Tulsa Tribune when it was being filmed, and our film writer for the World was a man named Ron Wolf, who bore more than a passing resemblance to Weird Al Yankovic. And so while he was covering the filming of the movie in Tulsa, he was constantly being approached by people wanting his autograph, thinking he was Weird Al Yankovic. And I remember he did a story about that, and they had a picture of Weird Al in a certain pose in a Hawaiian shirt, that he often wore, and we found a similar shirt and pose Ron. And honestly, I mean, it was which twin has the Tony kind of a moment. So,
well, you can watch Weird on Friday, November 4th. Still to come, a week after that, or a few days after, more than a week, is Tulsa King with Sylvester Stallone. And they had a preview at a couple of theaters in Tulsa over the weekend. I went to the one in Owasso, bought a ticket, watched the season 5 premiere of Yellowstone and the series premiere of Tulsa King back to back. And it's another thing I would recommend people see it. It's clever and fun. You'll like Stallone, even though you don't want to get on his bad side. And it's really entertaining. It makes you want to see what happens next. But I wonder if you guys, I'm going to hit you with 2 questions. 1, what was your introduction to Stallone? And 2, what's your favorite Stallone project he was in?
Good question. I think my introduction to him was through Rocky, probably like most people. But that kind of came out like a little bit before my time, so I never really got super into it. But then I did really like the movie Creed that came out a couple of years ago. I thought that was very inspiring and fun to watch, and I love just the boxing and the training elements, and Michael B. Jordan's awesome, so I really liked that one. But I'm excited to watch Tulsa King too.
I saw Rocky when it came out. Was it 1977? I believe at the old Continental Theater, which is now hotels off of I-44. And was really taken with the whole Cinderella story of the making of the of the film, and enjoyed it a lot, and liked the fact that it, that it wasn't, a complete fairy tale. And that was, and I remember also right after that, he appeared on an episode of the old TV series Police Story, which is an anthology series where he played a undercover cop who, in a situation, ends up shooting an unarmed kid, and the effect that had on him. So, but yeah, so those were both, when he was still doing People. Although I did get a kick out of Cliffhanger, as unbelievable and changing the laws of physics kind of thing that movie was. It was still, I recall it being an entertaining thriller. How about you, Jimmy? What was your introduction? And tell me that your favorite movie isn't Stop or My Mom Will Shoot.
It's not. My introduction is the year that I lived on a military base in Germany, and we went to the base theater every night. And so that same year, I got to see The Lords of Flatbush with him, Henry Winkler, and some other fellas, doing almost the greaser thing, except in New York. I believe there's a legendary story about Richard Gere being in that cast, and he and Stallone got into it over some mustard squirting off a hot dog, and Richard Gere got fired from the movie. Check me out on that. Research that. Don't take my word for it. But Lords of Flatbush, and then Death Race 2000, where he was Machine Gun Joe. And the biggest sporting event in the country was a race across the country, and you got points for, get this, Grace, running over people. That's how you accumulated points during this cross-country race. It was definitely a science fiction type deal, but that came before the others. Probably my favorite Stallone is, I enjoyed the first Rambo movie, First Blood. I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah, that's a good one. It originally was supposed to star him and Kirk Douglas. Kirk Douglas played the role that Richard Crenna ended up with, and as I recall, and you'll need to check me on this, one of the reasons that Kirk Douglas left was because in the novel, the character of Rambo ends up dying, and Stallone didn't want to die in the end of the movie. And as I recall, Kirk Douglas objected to the changes in the film, and so he left, and they brought in Richard Crenna. So yeah, so yeah, the First Blood is also a good one, but he's been in so many really bad movies.
He was uncredited in MASH, the movie. I had no idea until I looked up his filmography a bit ago. Go figure.
Yeah, and was he in Death Wish?
I don't recall that one. The Charles Bronson movie you're talking about.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. There's one movie where he plays a like second thug or something like that. That was kind of a surprise that he was in. But oh well. So
that gets us caught up on current kind of movie events. You guys have anything shaking this weekend as far as what we can expect in the newspaper?
Well, I've got for me it's been a very literary week. We have an interview with the humorist David Sedaris, who's coming to town November 10th, talking about his latest book and being accused of self-plagiarism for publishing his own diaries. And we had announced earlier that novelist Elizabeth Strout was going to be the recipient of the Peggy V. Helmrich Distinguished Author Award from the library and the Tulsa Library Trust. She has had to bow out because of illness. And so in her place, the novelist Anne Patchett, who wrote Bel Canto and The Patron Saint of Liars and the like, she will be coming in early December. And we have an interview with her about the book that she wrote during the pandemic. So that's the main thing that I got coming up. Oh, I will ask one thing. Are either of you fans of hot food?
Like spicy?
Well, yeah, as opposed to, yeah, not just simply cooked. I realize I already said that. Yes, as spicy food.
Yes, I am a fan of spicy food.
To a degree.
Go on.
I don't like to get like the hot wings that are so hot that you're uncomfortable. So to a degree, no pun intended. Yes.
Well, one of the things we're going to be coming up the next week, Chicken and the Wolf, which started out in Mother Road Market, has got a brick and mortar shop on 11th Street, across from TU, and they have stuff that can hurt you if you let it. But we'll have a review of that coming up. So, anyway, and Grace, what have you got? What have you got for us?
For this weekend, World of Homes, we have a feature on a really cool Maple Ridge home that's almost 100 years old. So that's really awesome. And then a story about just local businesses who have some great fall candle scents this year. Lots of really fun stuff with that, and a lot of them pour their own candles themselves. And one company, Tulsa Candle Company, is like a one-woman business, and she hand pours all the candles herself and delivers them by hand. So she was really awesome to talk to, and yeah, they've just got some cool stuff coming up. So that's me for this weekend.
What's the most unusual candle scent you've come across in doing this story?
Oh, sweet tater pie is one that's being offered at Magnolia Soap and Bath Co. on 15th Street. But she said that that's the woman who owns the shop. She said that that's her favorite candle, and she actually burns it year round. So I really want to smell it.
That is wild, because sweet tater pie was the nickname of James and myself in high school. Coincidentally.
Well, for me, it was my rap name, but
mine was fried okra. That's my candle I want, is fried okra. Bring that to me.
well, I don't know if they're going to do it this year, but I remember a few years ago, you could purchase around the Christmas holiday season, you could purchase one of those compressed wood fire logs that, when you burned it, smelled of Kentucky Fried Chicken.
That sounds lovely.
Oh man,
that's both alluring and frightening all at once. But anyway, on that savory note, we should probably leave this and let you all get back to your real lives. I want to thank Ms. Wood and Mr. Tramel for taking the time out to be a part of this hot biscuit, and we will see you all later.
be safe.
Bye.